So right now I'd like to take a quick minute to explain what tension in the body can be a result of. Now, of course, there are many reasons why a person can be tense. Perhaps somebody's just finished a hard workout and the muscles are tight because they've been used. That is a possibility. But ideally, when we use our muscles, they get used and they get tight, and then they relax when the opportunity comes to relax. So an athlete who is really in tune with his body and who works hard and relaxes hard and is able to do both of them fully actually performs better. And when that kind of person comes in to get a massage, then it's a really easy massage unless there's like a muscle that's been pulled or some kind of chronic thing that's going on that's more like an injury. Another way that tension can accumulate in the body is doing repetitive tasks like sitting at a computer in a way that's not ergonomic. Certainly that puts additional strain on the body and tension can build up. For most of us, the chronic tension in our body is a result of what's going on. We're holding the tension in a particular way. Now, there are lots of reasons why that can happen. One of the ways that is most interesting is one that I see with people who come in for a massage and they have chronic tension, and the way that the body responds to the massage will lead me to have insight as to what's going on. So when I have a person who comes in and the muscles don't respond really well to the massage, I mean, there's a difference, and it takes a little practice to be able to recognize the difference between something that is responding well and isn't responding well over long term. And so when I have a person come in who is getting regular massage and is not responding well to the treatment, then I start to take a look at other things. And what I found to be really common with a lot of my clients is that when the body is not responding well to massage, that there's an underlying issue. Now, that issue can be one of two things. The first is that it could be that tension from past trauma is being held in the nervous system. So let's take a look at this. This is an example from my training in somatic experiencing, where they showed a National Geographic film, a really old film that was of a polar bear. And what was going on was there was a helicopter coming in, and I'm sure you can imagine the helicopter. The camera's looking over the shoulder of the guy with the tranquilizer gun, and they're chasing down this polar bear so that they can tag him and track him and do some lovely scientific something with him. And so the helicopter's flying in, and you see the polar bear down there running as fast as a polar bear can, and the person shoots the tranquilizer dart into the polar bear gradually slows down, eventually falls over, and the scientists do whatever it is that they're doing. And then we come to the part where the scientist has finished his work and we're waiting for the polar bear to wake up. And the scientist is interested in having this polar bear recover fully. And so he tells us what he is waiting for. And we watch as the polar bear starts to come out of the tranquilization that he's been under. And we see the polar bear's feet start to jerk a little bit, and he starts to wiggle, and we see that eventually the polar bear is continuing the process of running. We can see this, and it gets faster and faster and faster, and then it stops. And then the polar bear, big breath in, big breath out. He does this a couple of times, and the scientist says, that's what we're waiting for. We are waiting for the polar bear to be able to complete the action that he was doing when the trauma of being tranquilized happened to him. And then the release that is signaled by the deep breaths in and out of the trauma being released from the nervous system. And the scientist explains that this is the way it happens naturally in animals, and that he knows the polar bear will be okay because of how the polar bear has reacted, being able to complete the action, releasing it from the nervous system, and that they were then able to get back into the helicopter continue on their way. Well, something similar to that could happen in a trauma, except that usually as humans, we either stop ourselves or circumstances stop us or somebody else stops us from completing the action. So say that you are in a car accident and you're driving along, you can see ahead of you that something is indeed going to happen, that you will not be able to stop, and that an accident is happening. So what does your body do? Well, first of all, it's going to tense. The legs are going to tense, you're probably stomping on the brake, but everything else starts to tense too. The back, the shoulders, the arms, the head and neck, everything tenses in preparation for this oncoming blow. And maybe your arm starts to come up to protect your face from the blow that is sure to come. But odds are the windshield gets there first. And so the arm never completes the action, the body is locked in tenseness, and boom, it happens. And then something even more happens in that you might be rushed to the hospital, or at least an ambulance is called. Something like that is likely to happen where people are telling you, just hold still. It's okay, just hold still. And instead of the body's natural response to coming out of trauma, of completing the action and tensing and coming all the way over to protect yourself, it doesn't happen. And the nervous tension that is stored in the nervous system doesn't get released. There is no shaking to shake it out. There's no release of breath to fully release it from the system. Instead, it is just held, and it gets locked in the body. Literally, the body is trying to protect itself from an oncoming event, but it is not able to complete the action, so it gets stuck. That's one way that chronic tension can occur in a body. Another way is through emotional holding back, which can happen. So say that you are a young child and your mother doesn't like to hear you cry, especially if you're crying because you're sad or in pain. Somehow that just really irritates her. And so when you cry in sadness or pain, your mother says, "Big boys don't cry. Stop that. You don't need to be crying right now. You're not really hurt." And so your brain says, the big person in my life is telling me I shouldn't be crying right now. So I've got to stop. I have to stop this. And the body comes in and tries to help. And the body will tighten the muscles of the face and the neck and the shoulders and the back, all in an attempt to hold back, literally hold back the emotion that is threatening to spill over and cause a negative reaction with mom, the big person. So maybe it's not mom or dad, maybe it's a teacher or somebody else in your life, or maybe something like that has happened as an adult where expressing emotion just is not acceptable. Maybe it's expressing love isn't acceptable. There are lots of things that could be going on where something needs to be held back. And so the body literally tenses in order to hold back an emotion that could be expressed, that actually should be expressed because it's being felt. And it locks it in. So until we go back and release from that memory, recall the memory, open it up to change, and insert change into that memory. Insert what we now understand. Oh, mom was just stressed, or it wasn't an appropriate time to start crying like that in the middle of, say, church. And so that's why that happened. And logically, we might know that now, but when we bring up the memory and then insert physically a change, so we can alter the memory by doing a physical interaction in the present time, which can take away the emotionality of that memory, and then restore it in a different way so that the tension starts to be released from the body that was being held there. That's another way. So those are just a couple of the ways that we see that tension can occur in the body. And there are also ways that it can be released from the body. And some of those ways involve movement and touch. So if you're interested in exploring these paths, it's part of my BodyPaths system. This is somatic releasing. And it's a 90-minute session in my office, and we'll go through and find where tension is and find ways to release it. There are many, many ways to release tension and to keep it released. There might be layers and layers and layers of resistance, but eventually things start to soften up and a release is achieved. That's not a release strictly based on muscle pressure. It's not a result of lack of relaxation. It's a result of emotional or nervous system involvement in not releasing. Hi, Michelle Harkey here. So this is reality. This is me in my running outfit, getting ready to just head out the door and get a few miles in before making dinner and really connecting with my kids again this evening. But I wanted to stop in and just present an offer to you. You'll know it's the offer for you if you are a smart, successful woman who is really making a difference in other people's lives, but just not quite having the cutting edge in your own life. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's an area for improvement, an area of growth. And if you are one of my peeps, you know that that area of growth includes things like meditations and visualizations and changes in how we eat and how we exercise, and most of all, changing the way we use our physiology to connect with ourselves, with our emotional self, our intellectual and spiritual self. Changes are good. They're great, especially positive changes like really, truly connecting with ourselves. So, here's how it works. If you, in your life sometime, have had some kind of illness, injury, or abuse that has caused you to disconnect from your body, understand that this is the perfect thing for your body to have done at the time that it happened. Your mind and your body collaborated and said, here's how I can make myself feel the most safe in this situation. And so the little threads that have connected mind and body and given us at first this incredible connection with our emotions and with the interoception inside of ourselves so that we have this gut feeling and that we really feel our emotions, those little bands start to break when illness, injury, and abuse occur. It's a way of preserving ourselves. But that doesn't need to be the case anymore. There are ways to reverse this process and really get fully integrated into our bodies so that our lives work better, so that we have greater connection with our family and our friends. And the way to do it is so easy. And for me, in my life, it's made it so that I have greater access to energy, to the vitality, to health, and understanding who I am and how I can make a greater difference in the world. I was already smart and successful. There was no doubt about it, because when I disconnected from my mind, as you probably did too, when the mind and the body disconnected a little bit, then I focused all of my energy into my head, into my intellect, and I became really, really smart. And I've been really, really good at what I want to do, but I was not so good at what I didn't want to do, the things that still made me feel uncomfortable, like really connecting with my emotions and really feeling the messages that my body gave me and really making true connection in my relationships. And so as I learned to make this shift in my body and really connect with it, it has changed those areas for me. And now I have more health and more vitality than I've ever had in my life. People comment to me all the time, wow, you look great. Are you sure you can be that old? I won't even tell you how old I am, because I'm actually younger than the number on paper. I have such incredible energy for life, and I make connections with my children that I've never made in the past. They're deeper and more fulfilling. This is what can happen in your life as you reconnect with your physiology, and it's so easy. But it does take consistency, and it takes working through the belief systems that support this disconnection, because we start to believe in our own heads that when we are disconnected, we are actually better off. But it's not true, because we're missing out on some of the things in life that will help guide us. That gut feeling, the sensation of, oh, I am a little hungry, or maybe I need a little more sleep, or just a willingness to do some of those self-care things that we push aside because I need to succeed. I have to get this done. And, oh no, this thought in my head, it needs to be put on paper before I leave. So we start to disregard the messages that our body is giving us. But when we reconnect, we're able to make little course corrections. It's like a plane taking off. If you were in a plane in Los Angeles and you're heading towards New York, you want to make little tiny course corrections all along the way. Not huge course corrections by the time you get to Texas and realize that you need to go way north. No, you want to make little tiny course corrections all the way, and that's what aligning your physiology helps you do. It helps you achieve better results in your health and nutrition. It helps with weight loss, it helps with emotional stability, and it really, really helps with energy. So I want to share this with you if you are one of those people who is really, truly committed to making an investment in yourself at this time. I only accept a few personal coaching clients. And so if you are interested in applying to become one of my personal coaching clients and learn the science of reconnecting through physiology, I invite you to fill out the form below. Let me know a little bit about yourself and your situation and why you want to do this program. Let me know. Let's connect. Let's talk. Once you fill out that form, if you're the right kind of person to really succeed in my program, we'll talk and we'll find out together if it's a good match. If it's not a good match, that's okay. You got a great mentoring session for free. If it is a good match, then we will go into a 90-day program where you will get weekly mentoring personally from me so that you can see me, we can talk together on Skype or Google Hangout or FaceTime and really connect so I can see how you're doing. Because so much of what I do that is different from any other mentor, mind-body mentor out there, is that we work with the physical body through movements, little movements like this, like reconnecting this way to integrate the hemispheres of the brain so that you can really make a difference in your life. And our close accountability, weekly, sometimes even daily accountability to make sure that you're making the progress that you want so that you can have the optimal results in your life. There's no way around it. In my opinion, if you really want to succeed, have a mentor who will hold you accountable to making progress in your life. So if this is you, if this is your time, if you really want to optimize results, then please fill out the form below and contact me, and we'll make arrangements to have a one-on-one meeting where we can break through the limiting beliefs that are holding you back and reconnect the physiology, the mind-body aspect of your life so that you can have the results that you want.